It won't be long, yeah. It won't be long, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you. Every night when everybody has fun, here am I sitting on my own. It won't be long, yeah. Yeah, it won't be long, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you. Since you left me, I've been alone. Now you're coming back home. I'll be good like I knew you should. You're coming home. You're coming home. Every night the tears come down from my eyes. Every day I've done nothing but cry. It won't be long, yeah. Oh, it won't be long, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong. Since you left me, I'm so alone. Now you're coming home. I'll be good like I knew I should. You're coming home, and every day we'll be happy, I know. Now I know that you won't leave me no more. It won't be long, yeah. It won't be long, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you. Till I belong to you. Oh, yeah. That was a fun song. But I got to point something out to you. That was a John Lennon song. Like John Lennon, you know, he made statements, I think it was like in the somewhere in the 80s and 95, like just before he passed, he made statements that it was his song. And it was always like Lennon and McCartney, but we know that there were songs that were strictly McCartney, like, you know, And I Love Her and Yesterday. But by the same token, there were songs that were McCartney, Lennon only. And I think somewhere, like Lennon was professing that, in 71 and 80. And it was somewhere in the 90s, like 95 or 96, that Paul McCartney said, well, you know, he said it was a collaboration, but it was dominated by John. I got to tell you something. This song, listen to this part here. These chords, it's like I don't know where John drew this whole chord progression from. It's an E, since you left me, to a G sharp minor. I'm so alone, to a B minor. Da 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 da, to a C sharp seventh, to an A, to a B seventh, to an F sharp minor, to a B seventh. Since you left me, I'm so alone. Now you're coming on home. I'll be good like I know I should. You're coming home. You see how he, you know, like it went beautiful, but it allowed for that buildup of energy. It was like da 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 da. Here it starts. Da dum dum da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum dum. Like, you know, the genius of what they were writing. That's what blows me away. So I hope you enjoy it. That's just the first song. Holy crap, I've gone like 5 minutes just doing the first song. But that's the way it's going to be because there's so much to discuss about the Beatles. There's never anything simple when it comes to the Beatles. There's just good. Okay, so I know it's going to happen as I do these things. It's going to be addendum. Sorry about that. It's just that stuff occurs to me, and I realize, like, I've loved this band so much for so many years and learned so much about them that there's so much to talk about. So I'm just going to keep it brief here. I was trying to think before of who, like John Lennon was very, very quickly perceptive of what was working. And, they did a lot of things like Smokey Robinson songs and other songs from like that Motown sort of sound. And John Lennon picked up on that pretty quick, just like the way eventually, and that'll be another album I'll do later, by the time they got into Help, like he was doing a lot of Bob Dylan type stuff, with, hey, you gotta hide your love away. But he was doing it before that, I think, with, Rubber Soul. Was he doing Norwegian Wood? It was very Bob Dylan type stuff. But in the early days, John was smart enough to kind of listen to what Phil Spector was doing with this whole wall of sound and all this sort of stuff. And I think he captured it quite a bit in this very opening song that they did, which was It Won't Be Long, because he's got the neat chords, but he's also got that screaming sort of just waiting for a whole bunch of background singers. The other thing to mention about that whole album, by the way, it was recorded like in 4 to 6 hours. I'm not kidding. Like, you think in these days, you take a band, and I'm not knocking them because I love them, but the Eagles were infamous for taking like 14 months to do an album. And how many other bands did like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 months to do an album? These guys, they pulled this off in 4 to 6 hours. 4 to 6 hours, like not even a full day. Back in those days, they worked with, there was 2-track, and then they managed to pull it up to a 4-track. It took all the way to Sgt. Pepper for there to be an 8-track. When you think of the absolute incredible sound experience of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band being done on 8-track, like seriously? Like, how many tracks are there today? Most studios, I think, I may be wrong, but I think they operate like 164 or 210, something like that. I don't know. There are a couple of hundred tracks. And it just goes on and on and on. And you come back to these guys, what was it? 4-track. Oh, wow, look at this. We just doubled. We got 8 tracks to play with. And they knew how to work that. So, the last thing I want to mention about this song is the song It Won't Be Long. You know what was groundbreaking? Well, I think it was groundbreaking. Sorry, I don't want to overstate that. But I certainly remember it. It started with, it won't be long, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it won't be long, yeah. Well, that wasn't the verse. That was the chorus. They started with the chorus. And then they got into, since you left me, I'm so alone, now you're coming. That's the verse. They actually went chorus, then it was, I don't know, it was almost like a bridge bit where they did, every night when everybody has fun, bum, 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 bum. It won't be long, back to the chorus. But I really feel, since you left me, I'm all alone, now you're coming back home. I think that was the really first verse. So these guys did a whole bunch of upfront. Sorry, I'm going to watch my word here. They just this really neat shit right up front, and then they led into the verse. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on that. That was pretty incredible of them to come up with that. That's the brilliance of, well, and not to take anything away from Paul McCartney, because he's absolute Mr. Incredible genius, but so was John Lennon.